Hello there, my name is Andreas Holzer, and I have done my report on the famous English leader Winston Churchill. Born on November 30th in 1874, Churchill was born to a famous political family with ties to the government. During his youth, he had a reputation as being a very poor student. After his time in school, he immediately joined the Royal Cavalry. Once completion of military service, he was elected to the Parliament in 1900 as part of the Conservative Party. During the First World War, he was elected as the First Lord of the Admiralty, where he famously modernized the British Navy. He was soon forced to retire after the loss at the Battle of Gallipoli. After the war, he ended up returning to politics till 1930, where he enjoyed a private personal life. By the time World War II came around, he was re-elected as the First Lord of the Admiralty and was eventually elected Prime Minister in 1940. During his time as Prime Minister, he was famous for being notoriously influential and a strong motivator for the British people. During this time, he was an amazing diplomat who brought all the Allied powers together to fight the Axis powers. After serving as Prime Minister, he still kept up with world affairs and British political interests by continuing politics. He later died in 1965 of a stroke. During my research, I found he displayed some very strong virtues which helped him be such a powerful and influential leader. He showed courage, perseverance, and justice to the people and helped give them hope during trying times. The value or the virtue of perseverance can easily be described as a persistence of working towards something even though things aren't looking too great. He showed this virtue after he stepped down as the Admiralty at the Battle of Gallipoli. This was a huge political loss for him, and he didn't know how he was going to return from this. He shows perseverance in this moment because he returns to politics and keeps doing what he's doing even though he had suffered a huge political loss. He also shows perseverance in how he was a poor student who ended up being one of the most influential prime ministers of his time. He was able to fight a troubled past and a past that showed that he had no promise, and ended up becoming something significant and big in the world. Next, he showed courage. Courage is something that you have when you fight your fears, and fighting your fears helps you grow as a person. He showed this as a soldier because he was willing to sacrifice his life for the better of his fellow British man and his fellow soldier. He also showed courage as Prime Minister for standing up against the Axis powers and motivating his people to stand up in arms against them. Another virtue Winston had was justice. He showed a good moral compass who believed in doing the right thing and was willing to fight for what was right and good, even at his own expense. For example, he had switched parties multiple times because he didn't believe what they were doing. He did this, and this shows justice because he wanted to do what was right. Like everyone else in this world, he wasn't a perfect man. He was known as a heavy cigar smoker, a heavy drinker, and would often overeat, hence his overweight body stature. These are all things that are bad for his health, but doesn't show that he's a bad person. I think since he does these things, it doesn't hurt anybody else, so I think his influence is still good. We're not perfect and everybody has their own vice, but I believe some vices are worse than others, and if you hurt others directly, I feel like that's an issue. Now, when doing my research, there was many ways I could connect myself with him. We are completely two different people, but I believe we both share the same type of moral compass. I also believe that, doing what's right and what's just in the world is what we should do as people, and we should strive to help others and make the world a better place. Many times in my life where someone has doubted me and I still fought through it and ended up succeeding. I mean, there was a time when a coach told me I wasn't good enough, or a teacher said I couldn't pass the class, and I still did well and ended up getting a good grade or playing well. So I think perseverance is something that I've learned as I've grown in my life. And I've also, another thing that I would say that I'm like him is I'm willing to face my fears. You know, if there's something out there that needs to be done, I'm willing to go out there and put myself out there, even if I might get hurt or I'm scared, because it's the right thing to do. And here's my bibliography, and that's my report on Winston Churchill.